So there's absolutely this arc and story that God's putting together. And sometimes you don't see it till you see it in hindsight. And the other thing is I think early on in life, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do everything possible because God is going to use me in my strength. And what I have found is looking back, it's never in my strength. It's always been in my weakness and my vulnerability that God has used me.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Up Next. Today, I get a chance to sit down with a new friend who I was just introduced to by our mutual friend, Barry Rowan. So, Leisle Chung over in Colorado, how are you?
I'm doing great, Tommy. It's so nice to be here with you today.
All right, Chicago, the last couple of days has been freezing cold. How's Colorado? Is it just as cold over there?
Oh no. See, I live in southern Colorado, which means it's beautiful. I get the mountains, and today it's around 60 degrees. And so
60
we get,
degrees.
yeah, so we get snow, but the snow never stays because we have this rotation of cold days and then beautiful days in the winter.
Wow. All right, because even Chicago, we just had the Bears game yesterday. They say it felt like negative 20 degrees. And
Uh-huh.
I walk out there, it's freezing out there.
Yeah, I mean, we get that too, but we get enough of a sprinkle of nice warm days that our
Yeah,
winters are nice.
yeah. Lisa, how long have you lived in Colorado?
So I lived in Colorado for about 16, 17 years now.
And where's home originally for you?
Yeah, well, I was born in South Korea. And then at the age of one, my parents immigrated. When I was 1 years old, my parents immigrated to the US. And so then
Mm-hmm.
we came to the United States. We moved all over the country because my parents were just following odd jobs as immigrants. And then we ended up settling in a state called Arkansas in a very small town of 1,400 people. And so I grew up in rural Arkansas.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then while you were in rural Arkansas, I'm assuming there wasn't any Korean churches or anything like that. Did you always grow up going to an American church, or did you spend some time in a Korean Asian church?
Yeah, well, okay. So just to kind of set the stage of what it was like for us to move there, my brother's a filmmaker, Leisle Chung, and he actually ended up making a movie called Minari, which
Mhm.
is based on our childhood. And so the opening scene of that movie is this family, this Korean family that's driving on a dirt road to the middle of nowhere. And then they get to this field that has a single wide trailer house. And the father says, "This is our new home." So that's pretty much how it happened. So I was 7 years old. And we moved to this small town, middle of nowhere. And no, there are no Korean people in this town. We were
Mhm.
the first Asian people to ever come to this town. And so we were a little bit of an anomaly when we got there. And so as I grew up, I did go to Korean church. It was about 50 minutes away. And so we would go there, and I would go on Saturdays. And the reason it was Saturday is many of the Korean immigrants in that area, they were working in chicken houses and they worked on
Mm.
Sundays. And so Korean church was on Saturdays. And then on Sunday, I went to this small Baptist church that was in my community. And I learned about Jesus from the little old ladies who taught Sunday school and just growing up in this small Southern Baptist church.
Yeah, yeah. Lisa, so with your parents, did they cook the Korean beef, Korean meat? Well, like, where did you guys get all the stuff to make it?
Okay, so anytime we needed Korean groceries, this was like at least a 2 hour drive. And so we'd be driving 2.5 hours to go to the smallest, like the
Mm.
small little Korean grocery store. And then my parents would just get all the groceries and my mom would have to cook everything from scratch. But having said that, because my parents worked so hard, I did grow up eating a lot of Chef Boyardee and canned
Yeah,
food
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because we'd kind of scrounge for ourselves.
Lisa, what did your parents do growing up?
Yeah, they were, it's a job called, they're chicken sexers. And so what that means is that they show up and there are, I mean, like thousands of baby chicks, like little baby chicks, and they would sort these baby chicks, male and female. And it's a job that typically immigrants did. And the reason that immigrants did this job is it's the highest paying job that you can get when you don't speak the language. And because my
Mm.
parents were limited in English, they were
Yeah.
working as chicken sexers. But my dad had this dream that we were going to have a family farm. And so that's why we ended up in Arkansas because land is really cheap.
Yeah.
And so he was able to buy land. And so during the day, they would work as chicken sexers. And then in the evening, we had the family farm that we would work together as a family. So my skill set includes being able to drive a tractor. I know how to lay irrigation lines. I can prune Asian pear trees. I can raise animals. So I've got a pretty broad skill set when it comes to farming.
So is the farm still existing? Did your dad have the dream of owning his own farm?
The farm is not existing. My dad did end up making a career pivot. And so he ended up going into natural medicine and also real estate. And so he did
Wonderful.
very well for himself later in life.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Mhm.
Lisa, I mean, like my parents immigrated here. I was born in 1977. We were in Chinatown, then we lived on the outskirts of Chinatown. We lived in a neighborhood where I was one of five Asians. If you go into that neighborhood now, it is 80% Asians.
Mm.
And so my parents worked as a teacher aide for my mom. My dad worked at different restaurants. I learned the whole importance of hard work ethic, pushing yourself. What did you learn from your parents that laid the foundation of how you parent now and how you run your business, all of those things? What did you learn from your parents?
Yeah, well, my parents, they worked really hard. And the other thing is they had this mindset that really anything is possible. And I
Hmm.
think they instilled that in us. And so, for instance, when I was very young and living in this small town, attending a school where most of the students actually did not end up going to 4 year college. And so, for instance, when I was in high school, the vocational programs were very strong because a lot of the students didn't go to college. And yet, starting at a young age, my parents kept telling me, we think you can go to one of the best schools. And
Yeah.
for my mom, that was Yale. I don't know why it was Yale. She'd never
Mhm.
visited, but in her mind, it was one day my daughter's going to go to Yale. And so she just instilled that in me. And that is where I ended up going to college. And I don't think that would have been possible if my parents had not put these dreams into my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. How did your faith come into the picture as well too? You went to Yale, then you worked
Mhm.
at Bain, and now you're CEO of Vanguard Skin Specialists. How did that come about, and how did faith play a role in it?
Yeah, so I'm really grateful for the foundation that I had as a child because I was in church all the time, and that pretty much kept me out of trouble because Korean church on Saturday, and
Mhm.
then morning service and evening service at the Baptist church. Then
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
there's Wednesday night youth group as well. So, I mean, I was in church all the time, so it kept me out of trouble. But I would say it was when I was in college that my faith took root because I ended up joining crew. I
Yeah.
had people
Yeah.
who discipled me, and my faith really grew. And so,
Mm.
coming out of that, I ended up studying theology for a year before then jumping into my career at Bain.
Yeah.
And it is now in hindsight, looking back over the decades, that I can see God's goodness in my life and also in my
Mm.
story.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the one thing for those who are listening. A lot of times when I talk with young leaders, especially in different parts of the world, they sit there and tell me about what they want to do in the future, what God's going to do with them in the future. But sometimes it's the past. He has
Yeah.
been working with you all throughout your life. And you have to learn those lessons and what he's been showing you, that when you look back in life later on, you say, wow, that's what he was doing. That's what he was showing me.
Oh, that is so true. Because I think that there is an arc, there's a story arc to our lives, and that's our spiritual life as well as our professional life. And so there's absolutely
Yeah.
this arc and story that God's putting together. And sometimes you don't see it till you see it in hindsight. And the other thing is I think early on in life, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do everything possible because God is going to use me in my strength. And what I have found is looking back, it's never in my strength. It's always been in my weakness and my vulnerability that God
Mhm.
has used me. So, I mean, for example, now when I think about my life and my brother's life, our story of growing up in Arkansas is, and just the hardship that we went through, God has used that story. Or I think about my
Mhm.
husband who was
Mhm.
a refugee, and he's a very
Mhm.
successful doctor now, but it's his story of being a refugee
Mhm.
where God came and rescued
Mhm.
him
Yeah.
that's being used. Because I think it's, we're not the hero of the story. We're actually the ones who've been rescued. And
Yeah.
so it's that story of rescue that God ends up using.
Yeah. Lisa, on my last semester seminary, I was paired up with this wonderful professor, Dr. Julius Wangloy Singh, who was my senior advisor before I graduated from seminary. And he says, Tommy, can I say something to you? I said, yeah, sure. He says, Tommy, you're very good at doing, going. That is the Asian mentality in you. Where I'm concerned, you don't know how to reflect. If you
Mm,
do not learn how to reflect, you will truly never understand what God has been trying to show you, because who you are is a culmination of everything that's happened
yeah,
to you that got you to this point. I
yeah,
have never forgotten those words that he has guided
yeah,
me and shared with me in the importance of
yeah,
that. Because as Asians, we're taught, I'm not sure about you, my parents always taught me, put your head down, work hard, because education was going to be the key that got you those open doors. And
yeah.
no matter what it is, just keep working hard. And that was always my mentality growing up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard to break free of that. And even now it's hard for me. I actually have this sticky on my wall right next to me here. And it says, prayer is the only thing I have to do today. Because I have to remind myself, because my gut instinct is I get up and I've got so many things to take care of because I
Yeah.
am a wife, I'm a mother of 4 kids, and I run a company. And so there's a
Yeah.
lot for me to do. So I need that continual reminder of there's actually just one thing.
Yeah. At least so for me, a lot of times is for some reason, one of the things that I've had to wrestle with is, why do I feel guilty when I'm not working? And so sometimes I feel like I'm sitting there, why am I feeling guilty? I feel like I need to be doing something here or staying busy. So I got wrestle with
Oh,
this.
yes, I agree completely. Okay, here's what broke me of that. Sabbath. Sabbath
Hmm.
broke me of that because I feel so guilty if I'm not doing something like productive. And
Yeah.
and so a number of years ago, my husband and I, because he's kind of a workaholic too, the two of us, we just committed that we will practice Sabbath. And so there is a 24-hour period where we go from sundown to sundown where we do not work. And it is rest and it is worship and it is just a renewal of our souls. And it has been such a gift to us to practice Sabbath because,
Yeah.
I mean, really, when you think about your work life, it's a pendulum, right? Like
Yeah.
you've got to go fast, you've got to go fast, but to get that fast, you've got to have that moment of stop and slow. And then you go
Mm.
fast, and then you need that moment of stop and slow. Then you go fast. And so you've got to have that moment of rest in order to go fast again.
Yeah. So what do you do during the Sabbath? What's your rhythm? Where are the things that spend time with the family, all of those things, but what are the things are you doing during that time?
Yeah. So, okay. So we were convicted of this because of some work by John Mark Comer.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
also just listening to him speak. And so we were just really convicted independently, each of us independently. And then we came together and we both agreed that we were going to do this. And so we started in the evening. And for us, it runs Saturday evening to Sunday evening. And so we start in the evening and it's dinner with friends or family. And so we'll have a Sabbath dinner. We will reflect on the week. We'll talk about the things that we look forward to. And then for the next 24 hours, we just go off. Like, I mean, we're not working. We are, it's like we will worship, we will have prayer. I mean, we go to church. We also do all the things that just bring us life and joy, spending time with our kids, time with each other, reading books that we love. And so it's just a really wonderful 24 hours to reset.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you also mentioned throughout your week, you're a CEO, you're a mother of four, all of those things, you're a wife. How do you, what does a typical day look like for you? I mean, you got to take care of homework, probably not as much now, driving, all that. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, well, I am fortunate in that we do have folks who help us out at home. So that I am really fortunate in that regard. But so I've got 4 kids. Their ages, my oldest is 21, so he's a junior in college, and then I've got 3 still at home, ages 11, 15, and 18. They are also very busy kids with lots of activities, and so I am busy in their lives and attending their competitions and things that they love to do. My work day, I in the morning, I carve out time because I have to start with prayer and scripture and journaling. And if I don't have that, my day doesn't go well. And so that's how I start my mornings. And then my days are full. I work full time, so I step in. We just a little bit about what I do. I run a medical practice. We do dermatology, plastic surgery, and aesthetic medicine. And
Mhm.
we've got 8 locations throughout Southern Colorado, and we have about 150 employees. And so, and we are a mission driven practice, which means that our mission is to make a positive impact on our patients, our community, and our world. And by
Mm.
impact, think about two objects colliding, right? Impact. Two objects collide, you change the trajectory of one object, and you yourself are changed in that interaction. And so that's what we try to do for our patients, our community. We go into underserved areas where people don't have access to care. We do a lot of volunteer work, and we give back to our local community and the world, because we sponsor projects all around the world. And so we're a mission-driven practice that takes care of patients here. And then also we go out from that. And so my days are full just running the organization as well.
Lisa, who taught you when you say you guys are running and missions driven? Who taught you all of these? Was it a mentor? Was it something that you and your husband were convicted of? All of those. Who helped you understand all of this thinking?
Yeah. So when we first started, I would say we lived a compartmentalized life. We had our
Hmm.
home life, we had our faith life, we had our work life, we had our charitable giving. I mean, there were all these
Yeah,
things, they
yeah,
were all
yeah.
separate. There was a turning point for us, and it happened in 2012. And we made a trip to Cambodia to visit a project that we, as a medical practice, had been sponsoring in Cambodia. And originally, we were going to do a medical project, but then in Cambodia, the issue of child sex trafficking at that time was pretty significant. And so we jumped into this project instead. We visited it for the first time in 2012, and it turned my life upside down. Same thing for my husband, because there was a lot of work that was doing prevention, but there was also trauma recovery. And we spent some time at the Trauma
Mm-hmm.
Recovery Center with women and children who had been rescued. I mean, kids as young as 6 years old. And so it was a really challenging trip. And it was during that trip that God just broke us. My husband, he's an athlete. He played football. He'd never been hurt, but he tore his ACL in Cambodia playing volleyball with street kids. And so he was
Mm.
physically broken. We were both spiritually broken. And we came back and we just felt like we could not continue to live life in the same way.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
realized that the problems we saw were just so much bigger than anything we could do on our own. And so we said, we've got to bring other people into this and all the other work that we have done since then. And so we started to integrate everything into our life, because we said, it's all got to come together, our faith life, our work life, all of it. We've got to integrate all of it together. So that was the beginning of the journey. We did seek out mentors. We sought out other business people who were doing this. We learned a lot through this journey. And now when I think about it, and I think about being a mom to my 4 kids, I think I want to model for them what it means to live an integrated life, where you bring your family in, your faith in, your work in, and you bring all of that together to have consistency in your life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wonderful. I love that. Like for instance, even as you learn, what it as you've since
Yeah.
2012 to now, what's one lesson, good and bad, that you've
Yeah.
had to learn about how to integrate all of these? If someone's sitting there listening to our
Yeah.
conversation, I love this. What is one lesson
Yeah.
that you've learned good, but what is one
Yeah.
lesson you learned bad that you've had to work through?
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of good, integrity at our company, it's one of our core values. And integrity, it's doing the right thing even when no one's looking. But
Yeah.
then there's a layer deeper than that, because integrity comes from integer, which means wholeness. And so it's this consistency of what you think and what you say and what you do is all consistent. And so when I think about this whole journey, it took me many, many years in that integrity, that wholeness and consistency of who I am, because I want to be the same person at home, at work, at every setting that I am. And I think that's important for you to be fully present and to be whole. So I would say that's just a good lesson I've learned personally, and what I hope that I can encourage our people to do as well. And I encourage all of them, bring your whole self into work, because that's the best way that we can serve patients and serve others. Things that, let's say you asked, what have I learned that
Yeah.
it,
Like a mistake or a lesson that you've
yeah,
had to learn that
yeah,
something that, yeah.
yeah. Okay. So this is actually just the first thing that comes to mind when you ask that question. Um, I work pretty hard, and
Mhm.
I think I expect other people are going to run at the same pace that I do. So I will say that there are times when I could be a lot more sensitive to the pace at
Mhm.
which other people need to run,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and I think I'm becoming better at that. But that is a lesson that I've had to learn multiple
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
So it's the same thing. A lot of times it is. I could keep going all day. Now, it's the
Yeah.
same thing. I'm not sure about you. Every
Uh-huh.
day around 2:30, I will take a nap from 2:30 to 2:45. And that
Oh,
is my rhythm
good.
for the last 20 years. I have
Yeah.
never given away from that and resets my entire body.
Yeah.
But yet at the same time, I have to also understand that sometimes people don't have that drive. People
Yeah.
can't work. I love doing multiple things. I love just keeping going.
Yeah.
It drives my wife crazy. It just drives her crazy. I just have to realize it's different with some people. I have to be okay
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love that habit that you have of taking a nap because I've read all kinds of research about how that is a great reset. You
Yeah,
can think better, all kinds of things. So I strive for that, but I just can't seem to take a nap in the middle of the day.
yeah. And I tell people, do not lie down. I literally sit there and put my head on the table, and I am out for 15 minutes. And I automatically get up after 15 minutes. My clock just resets.
Wow, that's really good. I wish I could do that, Tommy.
And so that's why a lot of times when I go international, like Jakarta and Singapore, I will take Grab all day because I can sit there and just disengage and take a nap and I'll be good.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so another thing for as a role as a female CEO and also as Asian American, what are some of the things that you've had to deal with and overcome throughout your life and even now as a CEO and as a female Asian female leader?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I think I had to learn at a young age, and it has suited me well just throughout my career, is if we go back to when I grew up in Arkansas. So when I first came to this country, my first language Korean. So when I started school, I couldn't speak English, and so I had to learn English in school. And then we relocate to Arkansas, where I'm the only Asian person. In fact, across K through 12, there were only two. Okay, other than my brother and me, there were only two other minorities,
Mm,
like K through 12. And so I think I had to learn how to be really comfortable in settings where people were not like me.
mm,
And I'm really grateful to have learned that at a young age because now I feel like I can walk into different settings and
yeah,
I'm comfortable. Whether I'm the only woman in the room or whether I'm the only Asian American in the room, I'm just very used to that. In fact, I get put off when I walk into a setting and there are a lot of Asian Americans, or when I go back to Korea and I look around and I think, wow, everyone's Asian, because I'm just so used to being the person who looks different and is a little bit
yeah.
different. I heard recently it's called third culture kid. So I guess I learned how to do that at a young age. Yeah.
Now, even where you are right now, do you
Mhm.
go to an Asian church or a Caucasian church or a mix, or what's your situation over in Colorado?
Yeah, so I live in Colorado Springs, which is not a really diverse city in terms of ethnic diversity. So I attend just a church where I guess the majority of people who are there looks like the population of Colorado Springs, and so
Mm,
that's the environment where we are.
got
And
it.
we didn't even really think about that as we were choosing places, and we thought, where is it that we want to raise our children? And we came to Colorado Springs. It's beautiful. The people are wonderful. And we said, this is
Wonderful.
where we want to put down roots. And
Yeah,
I think my kids too are pretty comfortable in a lot of different settings.
yeah. Because after Arkansas, you went to Yale, and then did you stay in the East Coast for a number of years?
Well, I went to Yale, studied abroad for a little bit, and then went to Boston. So lived in Boston and
Uh-huh.
lived in Atlanta.
Really? Okay, okay, got it. Yeah, and f even now as a CEO, what did you start realizing what you're good at and what you enjoy doing? Like, for instance, my question is, as I grow bigger as an organization, I don't like managing people. I'm an introvert at heart. And so I only have 5 people I manage, and everyone else, they can manage all these. I just don't want to manage people. But when I was younger, I said, oh my gosh, it would be so fun managing people, leading people. And then I realized I'm very
Yeah.
introverted. I just don't like doing it.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Tommy? I think over time you change as a person too.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's this test that we have called the Wonderlic, and we have everybody who applies for a job at my company take this test, Wonderlic. And
Okay.
what it's
Yeah.
testing for is it's testing your fit with a particular position. And I remember taking this test, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, and I took it for the CEO role, and it was a very, very close match. I mean, high match with the role of CEO. And I took it recently and that score went down. And I delved into it. I thought, why am I not a match for the
Yeah.
CEO role anymore? And it's because now I love things that are more creative. And I love storytelling and all these other things. And so I do think that over time you start to change in terms of
Yeah.
what you enjoy. And I would say earlier in my career, I loved getting people to a point where professionally they were doing well. And now I love when I get to see life transformation, like overall
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
transformation. So there
Yeah.
are just so many things that I think change as you just go through. There's this great book I read last year, and it's called Strength to Strength by Arthur Brooks. And I'm realizing, and he talks about how earlier in life you have fluid intelligence, and then later in life you have crystallized intelligence. And the strengths you have earlier are different from the strengths you have later. And I'm realizing, oh, this is where I am. I'm at this transition point of wanting to move on to
Yeah.
this next strength.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there are things I've learned, but part of it's because I've also changed as a person over time.
Yeah. Yeah. And here, I mean, we're not that far off. I mean, I'm 48 years old. I've gotten to a point where I realize my skill is I could go into a random city, Singapore,
Mhm.
Jakarta, whatever it is, and create you something out of nothing. But for what
Yeah,
purpose? I love when the light bulb goes on in young leaders where men
yeah,
and women in different places says, I could do it. This is what guys do. And then how do you come alongside with them and help them? That's the part that I love. Like
yeah,
speaking in public, leading teams. I'm not
yeah.
motivated to do any of this stuff. Yeah.
You're right. There is something really beautiful when you can see other people do it and do it well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
More
And for you,
rewarding than when you do it.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
And for you these days, what are those passions for you? I know a lot of times you mentioned a little bit. How are you seeing some of your ministry passions, what the Lord has placed in your heart? How are you seeing that in your job, in your family, in what you volunteer to, what you guys get involved in? For you, what
Yeah.
does that look like for you?
Yeah. Well, so for me, I think I see the world as a small place. I mean, I'm Korean American. My husband is ethnically Chinese, born in Vietnam. And we also have an adopted child who has a multiracial background. So we just sort of
Mm,
have this perspective of people are there are more things about people that are similar than different. And the world itself is a small place, is kind of how we think about things. And so in terms of projects that we're really passionate about, I do a lot of work with World Vision, a Christian humanitarian organization
yeah.
that works all over the world. So I'm really passionate about changing communities and tackling issues of global poverty.
Mm,
And we sponsor projects all over the world. And then I love meeting with other people who want to partner with World Vision, because it's not just that I see community transformation, but I see other people change when they come alongside and walk with the poor and what
yeah.
happens in their life. Because in this country, there is so much wealth, but there is
Yeah.
spiritual poverty.
Yeah.
And so I'm really passionate about work with World Vision. I'm passionate about justice and and also seeing women, especially in certain countries, like women step into the fullness of who God has intended them to be. And so, yeah, so that's just a little bit about the types of things that I'm
Yeah.
passionate about.
And I love about the women is whether it's Jakarta, Singapore, Nairobi, we're going to
Mhm.
need those voices that
Yeah,
really, I think sometimes the church will say, oh, we can't have women preachers. And I say, okay, but then with women global leaders in the marketplace, those voices that continue to inspire hope, that
mhm.
really continues to lead well, but you're going to have to actively give them those opportunities for them to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with that. I mean, when I was in business school, so I was at Harvard Business School for my MBA, and my closest friends were all international students from places like Singapore and Indonesia and just all over Asia as well. And some of the smartest people I knew were women coming from those environments.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, look, I love our staff, I love our network, but it is the women in all of our Southeast Asia cities that carry everything. They are just so impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, as we're wrapping up and as we're coming to an end on an interview, one, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Two, a lot of times, where do you see life going next? At least in the next 5 years, is you're leading it. Is what projects, what things do you want to get involved in?
Yeah. So it's funny that you would ask me this. So I am at a little bit of a transition point. So I am CEO of our organization. I think we're at an inflection point. And over the next, like a year from now, I actually plan to transition into a board role and out of the CEO role of this organization because I think God has something else in store for me. Now, I have 5 different ideas going in my head right now. And I have 5 different ideas going in my head right now, and I think God's telling me to be still for a little bit. So I'm going to take a sabbatical for the first time ever in my life. Other than maternity leave, I've never taken more than like 10 days of vacation in my whole life. So I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to take a sabbatical now at the age of 50 for the first time and just see what God has in store for me next. But when I think about what it is, I would love to help I'd love to invest in other people. That's where
Yeah,
I am.
yeah, yeah. And Lisa, let me ask you a quick question. This is a good follow-up for some of our young people. So you have 5 different ideas and you're going to
Mhm.
take a sabbatical. How do you figure out which one of these 5? Do you just take each road and try it out? Do you come before the Lord of prayer? Do you
Yeah,
where I this is a question I hear from somebody. So I have all these options. Where do I go? What do I do?
yeah. So I'm going to take it to the Lord because when I think about the big things I've done previously, and by big things I mean professionally. So I had a career at Bain, and I spent 8 years there, and I actually loved it. And I actually thought I was going to stay longer, but then as we started a family, and I was traveling all the time, we realized that it just wasn't possible for our family life when I was gone all the time. And so that's why I ended up leaving that and then starting this current organization with my husband. And as I think about the next phase, I want it to be whatever I do at this point, because I don't have to work anymore. I mean, we just don't have to work anymore.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so everything that I do, I just want it to be for God's
yeah,
glory. And so I
yeah,
just want to take it before the Lord and say, Lord, what is it that you have in store for me
yeah.
that glorifies you? And for all the young people listening, I would say one of the concepts that I learned earlier on that was really helpful to us is like, what is your financial finish line? Where
Mm,
once you reach this line, you don't need to work anymore. And when that happens, something in your head should just flip. And you should just be asking the question, if I don't have to support myself, why am I doing this? Well, then it's for the glory of God. And so, how do I start to think about my career? Like everything that I do, it's for the glory of God and it's building the kingdom. And so, that's very much what I would like this next phase to be. Now, could it be starting another company? Yeah, absolutely. It could be that because I think there's something powerful about leading an organization, creating jobs, and leading a workplace where people love to work. That brings
mm.
me a lot of joy. And I think that's so meaningful. But it could be something completely different. And I've got the full gamut right now on my list of things that I could possibly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A couple quick follow-up questions and we're done. One,
Yeah.
what is your brother up to now? I know he's a filmmaker. What's his latest
Yeah.
project?
Yeah. So let's see. His last film was Twisters,
Hmm.
tornado movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
he's working on something now. And I guess the funny thing about Hollywood, which would drive me nuts because I'm a planner, is I never know, like, is the movie he's working on now going to come to completion or not? Or
Yeah,
he
yeah,
never knows. But yeah, he's working on a movie right now. It is Oceans, the prequel to Oceans 11. If you remember that
mm,
whole kind of Las Vegas heist one. So it's the prequel to that
yeah,
he's working
yeah,
on
yeah.
right now, but that could change too. So yeah.
Please tell him that I was very disappointed Helen Hunt was not in the last Twisters movie.
All right. Well, I think what people were most disappointed at was at the end that the two characters did not kiss. I think he got a lot of criticism for that.
And then two for you, a lot of times Colorado Springs, you're living there. Are you still into like Korean food? Is that still part of your DNA? Do you cook all that stuff? Do you get your fix of Korean food?
Oh, I love Korean food. I could, if I only had to eat one type of food the rest of my life, it would be Korean food. So yes, absolutely. But during the work week, it makes me very sad, but I can't eat kimchi because, just the smell.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, on the weekends, you should see me. That's when I'm eating just
Yeah.
lots of kimchi. Mhm.
And for those who are listening, when you marinate the beef, what is the secret? Because for me, a lot of times my Korean friends told me it's the Coca Cola that you marinate the beef with.
Interesting. I'm going to have to take this from my mom. So instead of Coca-Cola, growing up, we had an Asian pear farm. And so she would take Asian pear and then she would make a concentrate from it and then
Yeah,
use
yeah.
that to sweeten the beef. And it's delicious.
And I bet you, Asian pear farm in Arkansas. Did you
Yeah.
guys bring some seeds back and start your Asian pear farm, or was it already
So,
there?
yeah. So funny you should ask. What you do is you plant trees that would do really well in the soil, and
Yeah.
then you take Asian pear trees and then you graft the tops of them onto the roots of these other trees in order to get the healthiest tree possible in Arkansas. That was the process.
There must be a sermon illustration in there
I know,
somewhere.
I
I bet
know,
you could write a book on that.
I know.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for taking time out this is our first time talking. I'm so honored that Barry introduced us together and for me to get to know you, hear a little bit of your story. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being open. Thank you.
Oh, it's been fun, Tommy. Thank you so much for having me.
We'll talk soon.
Sounds great.